Hello everyone and welcome to the next video on this channel. My name is Peps and I welcome you to day 5 of the G1 Climax review series. We have finally reached day 5 in Ottawa City Gymnasium, but before that I just need to say I'm sorry if I really sound tired because I'm really tired. I had an exam today. It went okay, but it doesn't matter too much, and then I went out with some friends. And now I came home at like 9 p.m. watched G1 Climax and now we recorded, so I get it out today. I want to say that yesterday the daily streak that I had randomly for like 6 days, I uploaded every day video, just broke. So kind of a sad day, right? But they needed a day break. But we are now back with the G1 Climax day 5. We were in Ottawa City Gymnasium, and New Japan drew an attendance from 1,308, and that is like a straight up terrible number, and you were able to see it visibly on this, like on your computer. And that is like the worst thing that can happen, in my opinion, because bad attendances can like always happen, right? Even though that is like a really bad number, it's like the second worst number in Ottawa City Gymnasium this year. And as a comparison, Some Princess of NJPW had like 80 fans more than this one. It's TJPW, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, like a promotion that is right now seen as pretty cool, like outdrew them this Monday. And other shows that outdrew them were like All Japan, Stardom, Marigold, and like 3 other New Japan Best of Super Junior stuff, and as well as Stardom, of course. So they should not be happy with this. And we can go over what is the reason for that. I mean, there are many different reasons, right? Tetsuya Naito, Hiroki Goto being out, the ticket prices going higher than usual, the momentum of the shows as well as the wrestlers themselves is not really high. So there's like a lot of different stuff that we can go into, but it's not a video for that. Maybe I will do one down the line if the attendance stay that way. Same for like the booking of the young guys in general, but I want to wait a bit longer on that. I would just say we jump straight into the matches because I really need to get this over with, that I can get it out today and can get some well-earned sleep. We started off day 5 of G1 Climax with Bolton Oik versus Sonata. We only had a block match today, and Bolton Oik versus Sonata kicked us off. And it started with Sonata attacking Bolton right when the bell rang and threw Bolton multiple times into the guardrail. From then on, Sonata dominated the match, slowed down the pace when needed, and totally had Bolton in control to neutralize his strength. You need to say that, right? Like the idea of Sonata in this match was pretty fine, but it didn't work out for him because when Sonata went for a moonsault, Bolton just straight up countered it into an F5, and it's kicked off the finisher stretch with Sonata countering the kamikaze attempt shortly after into the deadfall attempt, but Bolton countered it once again, hit the German suplex, but Sonata flipped out of it, hit the Shining Wizard, went for the second Shining Wizard, but then got caught in the kamikaze for the 3 count, and that is the 3rd win of Bolton Oik in 4 matches. And with that, he's moving up to 6 points. Meanwhile, Sonata starts 1-3. Kind of shocking, right? I thought it was like the typical, okay, Sonata just wins it and we will equal these results, like the standings of both. But no, they actually went with, okay, how about we give Bolton a little bit of a push? And for the Taichi fans, especially, I think this should be a good news since Bolton is facing Taichi on a final day. And I could easily see this ending up as a winner might go through kind of match if the tiebreakers work in the favor of both of these wrestlers. So for the Taichi fans, this should be a good result. In general, I need to say what I love about Bolton's matches in the G1 is the fact that his finishes always comes out of nowhere. Like, he always finds a creative way to get into the kamikaze. Like, if it's here, the Shining Wizard attempt, meanwhile, against Tanahashi, I believe it was the high fly flow that he countered and like rolled through and then just hit a kamikaze. That looked really cool as well. Meanwhile, personally, I just enjoy Sonata as this goofy little veteran that just comes out with these goofy little outfits that nobody gets how he even comes up with them, and just wrestles a solid to fine match and knows how to put over his opponent. And that is just all he needs to be, right? His matches aren't annoying, his matches aren't bad, they aren't great either, even though I like the David Finlay match a lot, but they are just solid, rock solid matches that you need on these shows. Moving on to the second match, we have Callum Newman facing Yuya Uemura. And unlike everyone else in this tournament, I found it was very interesting. Uemura was the only one so far of the 4 people that wrestled him to not go after Callum's leg. But instead, he just went straight up for the arm, which fits Uemura's tactic that he went so far in this G1 Climax. And it shows that he sticks to his plan. Like, there are wrestlers that always adapt themselves to the opponents, and Yuya here showed that unlike the others, he just starts off with a clear plan and wrestles this match down the way. But if he notices mid-match, and we saw that against Tichi, that his plan aren't working, he is willing to change it up. And I think that is like a very important thing to notice about his matches in terms of his character development, because it will show down the line how he will adjust more and more once people have figured out his match style. Like, it could easily happen. I would personally do it towards the end of the G1. That like one of the smarter workers maybe find its way to neutralize the arm work of Uemura early, and Uemura just continuously needs to change up his match style to equal his opponent. Callum sold the arm work well, better than the slack work in my opinion, and I loved when Callum tried to hit the Oz cutter and he did the, where he goes over the head claps, and he couldn't do that really because his arm, of course, hurt. I thought that was very, very well done because it gave Uemura enough time to counter that. I also love when Callum went for the Oz cutter late in the match, that Uemura once again saw it coming and this time countered it into an arm buff to further the damage on Callum's arm. Like, in general, the arm work of Uemura once again was really fucking cool. Late in the match, Callum hit the cool double foot stomp to the outside, which was like really cool done. And towards the end of the match, we had once again the struggling around the deadbolt suplex. And it was once again the highlight of the match. I can just only repeat what I said in the other matches, but this time we had Callum trying to escape. The first attempt with a great German suplex. Yuya then came back but got caught into a knee strike. Then Callum tried to use the finish but got caught in a standing arm by Yuya. He grabbed in a way that he can technically the arm lock it also with the double arm lock is then Deadbolt suplex. Callum then tried to reach the rope, but Uemura saw it, rolled through, got the Deadbolt suplex in to win the match. And I thought it was a great finish. And in general, the match was really well done, solid match. I can't complain too much about it. And the finish is one of many creative finishes in the G1 Climax so far. I think in general, the kamikaze of Bolton Oik as well as the Deadbolt suplex hold of course, Uemura, both have been very effective when it's about the finishing stretch. And I think that is something that elevates their matches respectively, because it just makes it interesting to see how and when the match ends. Then we go on to match number 3, Evil faces Tichi. And before the match even started, Fale just attacked Evil from behind during Evil's entrance. And then Evil and Co not only jumped Tichi, but also jumped, who tried to interfere and help Masatora Yasuda, the young lion. And I liked it a lot because with Yasuda with Taichi, Murashima with the other Hontai guys, with Yoshihashi especially, and the guy with Shingo Tsuji Hiromu, they are actively getting a lot of shine on these undercards. Only the guy is in a unit, even though it's unaffiliated, whatever that means, right? But this is more focused on a bunch of the young lions than we have seen in a very long time. And I think that is very important because they realized that the old way to build up young lions is just outdated. It feels very similar to Stardom's approach, who instantly put the rookies with veterans to build them up and give them a clear connection for the future. In Stardom, we have Rion and Hanako with Maika, Suzu Suzuki with Akira Kogigane, Yuri Ahime with Saida, Rana Yagami with Shuri, Sayaka Kokara with Tamnakano's Sayaka Mitani. In general, right, if we go through every other Joshi company that is a thing. And stealing, I wouldn't call it stealing, but using that approach of Stardom or in general Joshi wrestling is a very smart idea, because you just see it right here, right? Yasuda gets a bigger spot instantly right off the gate, and it helps him. The match itself was exactly what you expect from Evil match. Constant interferences, worked solid enough on top, but nothing that makes you really want to tune in. It was pretty much a standard Evil solid enough wrestling match. One of the highlights of it, though, was once again Sami, who slapped Evil when Evil was trying to hold him down to gain advantage and hit Tichi with a low blow. But like Masami just hitting him with the crowd going crazy, but that was like really funny. Tichi followed that up but with a good lariat. The final minutes then saw a ref bump, interference. Yasuda took then out Diktoga. Fale took out Yasuda. Taichi then took out Fale and hits the Axe Bomber on Evil on the outside. Evil just barely gets in the 90 count, and then the finishing stretch started. It was totally wrestled clean for 2 or 3 minutes without any interference, and the finish then saw Evil pinning Taichi with the reverse Everything is Evil after Taichi tried to go for Black Mephisto, but Evil countered it. A good finish to a solid match. I really don't have too much to say about it. Like, if you have seen Evil matches, you pretty much have seen them all, right? In the co-main event of the show, we had Ryohei Oiwa facing Yota Tsuji with 2 young guys in a big spot like that, with Tsuji being the veteran role that works dominant over Oiwa is something we haven't seen really much before, especially not from Tsuji. Like, Tsuji is the kind of the guy that works more 50-50 or more underneath, so seeing him in a kind of, I wouldn't say the bully role, but kind of him in a dominant spot is very interesting. I think this was really well wrestled, especially from Tsuji. He has found the way here to work in a situation that he like rarely was ever, and he was able to get to the next steps of each match really well, and he dominated and controlled the match perfectly, and it's showing that he's not the young guy anymore that people treat him like. He's like closing in on being a veteran. Like, this guy has been back for like 2 years now, so I can understand why he's still seen as a young guy, but he slowly figures it out how to get the little stuffs in and develops into a really, really nice veteran right in front of our eyes. Meanwhile, it also made Oiwa's comebacks and HubSpot stand out more, because he's like getting more of the shine as well, with Tsuji's work being so good in this match. And for example, Oiwa countered the Gene Blaster with a brutal lariat that just the crowd went crazy for. And that's what I love was like when Tsuji hit a German suplex, Oiwa then powered up, and Tsuji just hit a short run Gene Blaster to plant Oiwa just back into a really short 2 count. Like, this was really cool, because it just shows the urgency sometimes in the match, and I love urgencies in the match. I think that's like one of my nitpicks about certain G1 Climax matches this year. Even though I haven't really picked it out, it sometimes feels like, okay, or like at least in the past, I think this year was a bit better, that some of the matches just lack urgency. In general, that's a wrestling problem though. And I think this was really done here in this match. Then we had the finishing stretch starting with Oiwa hitting a Gene Blaster of his own, lariat but a near fall, Dr. Bib a second near fall. Then he went for the grip, but Tsuji ducks the grip, but gets caught into a Chaos Fury. Oiwa holds it down, tries to go for no grip, but Tsuji counters it into a roll-up, just barely escapes with the win. I thought the pinning combination that Tsuji showed, he was really creative done, and I think that fits because he just barely escaped with the win. Like, Oiwa still looks good, even though he lost the match. And I think that's always like very important in these kind of scenarios. And it showed that Oiwa not only has grown in confidence every match in the G1 Climax in terms of his performance, but also in terms of his kayfabe performance. Like, he picks up pretty big wins, but also gets closer to these top guys with Uemura, with Tsuji and everything. Especially like with Tsuji now, where he had a 50-50 match. On the next night of A block action, he has Hiroshi Tanahashi in the main event, and I think he will get a pretty big win there. And he's slowly figuring out what this match layout in New Japan is supposed to be, and I think that is very important, because he struggled a bit. I said it earlier, in his beginning stages, hadn't really had a big breakout performance, but now in his G1 Climax, he gets better and better with every match, and I'm happy for him. I think he will have one fantastic match in this G1 Climax. I don't know when, I don't know against who, but I can't wait to see it. Then we go to the main event of the show. We had David Finlay against Hiroshi Tanahashi. And coming into this match, I was like very hyped. But like in general, coming into this tournament, I was very hyped for this match because I expected the chemistry to not only be great, but I wanted to see how Finlay's power works against someone like Tanahashi, who is less mobile and everything. And this match started off slow, with Finlay, of course, dominating, but it picked up with every minute passing by. Like, the pacing in this match was phenomenally done. The spots were placed perfectly. Like, on the outside, when Tanahashi randomly hit a freaking Frankensteiner in 2025, that was just crazy. What is this guy doing in 2025? Why is he working main event matches like that, hitting Frankensteins? Like, dude, you shouldn't be able to do that, but somehow Tanahashi just has the fire in him to pull something like that off. What I loved, and showed the power that David Finlay has the most, which I talked about, when he caught a high fly flow attempt into a different version of the Indio Oblivion, he had him in a body slam position and just threw him on his knee. That looked like brutal. And then he followed up with the normal version of it, like a general. Finlay's counters in this match and how he took apart Tanahashi with his strength was just phenomenal. I think this Finlay performance was out of this world. And in my opinion, even though it wasn't his best match, it was his best personal performance of the G1 so far. In the end, Finlay then went for the overkill, but was countered into a roll-up that led to a free count, and Tanahashi seals the win, goes 2-2 in the record. Finlay goes 1-3. And this was a good main event that perfectly played into the weaknesses of Hiroshi Tanahashi in terms of his strength, while showing him as a willing veteran that just fights back until he can't go anymore and still can go toe-to-toe with someone as vicious and as brutal as Finlay is, even in the year 2025. With that win, Tanahashi then secured his 99th G1 Climax victory with a roll-up reversal, which makes the rest of the tournament for him really interesting because he is hunting the 100th G1 Climax victory, has now 5 chances left to do that. And with every match, I think it could get even likelier that he gets him. He has Oiwa next, then Sonata, then I believe, I'm not really sure. I think he has Tsuji, Uemura, and then of course Evil on the final day. I think he at least wins one of them. I don't know if it's the one against Evil or against Sonata. I feel like it would feel better for him if he wins it in a high-profile match rather than his 100th win shouldn't be in the undercard as match number 1 against Sonata and Kurikan or something. So I'm very interested how they pull that off. In general, I thought it was a good G1 Climax day. Not the best one, but I think it ranks right in the middle. You had a very solid opening match between Bolton and Sonata. Yuya and Callum had a good match. Tichi vs. Evil was whatever. And then the final 2 matches were both really good. Not great, but just really good matches. So I can't, say much about them. I think they were really good. Then tomorrow's show, day 6 of the G1 Climax, we have once again an Ottawa City Gymnasium show. I'm interested to see how the attendance goes. We have Yoshihashi vs. Great Khan, El Fantasma vs. Zack Sabre Jr., Shota Umino vs. Ren Narita, and Shingo Takagi vs. Konosuke Takeshita in the main event. Sadly, of course, Gabe Kidd announced today that they will be forfeiting the rest of the G1 Climax matches. It will be interesting to see how this plays out in terms of the rest of the tournament, because he felt like a guy that could go through potentially as the IWGP Global Champion. But now we are living in a world where your Yoshihashi, after the forfeit, has 4 wins and 0 losses. So there's that. Now to my spreadsheet. We have, in the A block, we only go for the results this time. In A block, we have on the first place, tied Bolton Oik, Evil, Yota Tsuji with 6 points. All Bolton and Suji are facing off in Nagoya on day 7. So one of them will go to 4-1, while the other will lose a match. And that is a very important match for both of them. So I will be interested to see how this goes. And Tanahashi, Oiwa, Tichi, and Uemura all at 4 points. Callum, Newman, David Finlay, and Sonata all at 2. In terms of match time, we still have Tichi on the first place, and he's the first wrestler to go over the 1 hour mark with 1 hour, 3 minutes, 29 seconds. Then Uemura as second with 57 minutes. Then Tanahashi, David Finlay, Tsuji, Oiwa, Shota Umino, and Konosuke Takeshita on 7-8 as the first ones of the B block. And with that, thank you all for listening to this one, to this video. I'm glad that I was able to get this done. But with that, I want to say bye-bye.